Hello again. Getting close to event number 100, by the way. It doesn't look real,
I know.
but
Yeah.
it is.
Time is flying
Yeah.
by lately for some reason. It's
Yeah.
going very fast.
And here we are
Feels
again.
like here we go again. What a
Almost
season.
spring. The vines are still dormant,
Yeah.
but they're ready. I mean, we have good water in the ground and
Yeah.
a lot of it is pruned.
This is all set to go.
We're pruning this young Vineyard Cabernet Franc,
That's gonna be a
and
beautiful fruit coming out of there this year.
yeah, gorgeous.
Yeah.
Well, we're here in a vineyard of Falanghina, actually, which is a grape grown mainly in the region around Naples, and it's one of our very important blending varietal for our wine nascent. So here we are, just a few rows, only 1 acre, extremely important for blending, very, very bright, fresh, high acidity, very floral, gives a lot of structure, even more depth to our blend. But today we're not talking at length of Falanghina, actually we're talking about Petit Verdot. And actually I would like Fernando to reminisce a little bit about how Petit Verdot made it in our vineyard here at Barboursville. And at that time we were very few people growing Petit Verdot, perhaps just a couple, and we joined very few, and we did our first planting in the year 2000. But Fernando,
Yeah.
take it from here.
Yeah. It's always nice to to remember those moments with our founder, with Dr. Gianni, and always his vision about how to improve, how to make Virginia and Barboursville some of the most important wines. That's the way he always expressed himself. And we were having dinner, Dr. Gianni and Dr. Giacosa, and he asked me, so what is your, that was the first time I met Dr. Giacosa. He asked me, so what is your future thinking about Barboursville? What do you think we can do, to enhance our wines? And since I've been, under the direction of Monsieur Bossonov during the late 80s.
Most people probably don't know who is Monsieur Boissonov. Why don't you explain who he
Monsieur
is?
Bossonov is probably the person who really made me understand the concept between the vineyard and wine and blending, and how to go from originally planting a vineyard to deciding from that moment on, we need this percentage of this percentage of this and that. So we always planted it that way. With one of his main blending tools was always Cabernet Sauvignon, Merlot, and then Petit Verdot. So with that mentality, I had the beautiful luck to work with Monsieur Bossonov, who right now Eric Bossonov, his son, is one of the most knowledgeable consultants in Bordeaux. His father, Monsieur Bossonov, was the consultant for Chateau Margaux, Chateau Petrus, and all these beautiful chateaus in Bordeaux. And when I first came to work with him under Monsieur Le Duc, and he decided to have this vineyard in Napa Valley, the vineyard that we purchased, we already knew that was not at the level of quality that we needed, because he already had phylloxera, and we knew it needed to be replanted. So that was my first amazing experience with him about starting from the blend right from the vineyard. We need to know exactly how the blend is going to be. So Petit Verdot was one of his main varieties that he always had it in his mind, that we need Petit Verdot because as character, because as structure, as color, and it's a variety important in every blend that we're going to produce for these vineyards. So that's how the mentality for me when I came to Barboursville, in 1998 was that we needed that one more tool that we can incorporate into the blendings that Luca was already working on, and I just wanted to give Luca one more tool,
Yeah.
that he could
Fernando, I thought I was perfectly happy without it. And you know why?
Yeah.
Because I didn't know much about Petit Verdot, and the few I tasted way back then, I wasn't very impressed with. And really, it really it became apparent that Petit Verdot here is doing a lot better on average than it does in Bordeaux, especially in those years. It was a little cooler Bordeaux back then in the 90s. Now it's a bit warmer.
Yeah.
Petit Verdot really doesn't ripen well in cooler
very cool
climates. And occasionally Bordeaux used to get cooler seasons.
Yep.
Although we are the latitude of Sicily here, so same thing in Napa Valley, it did better, quite better, and more consistent quality than Bordeaux does. And so I still came a little bit from that mentality myself, which is a mentality of, you only put a little bit of Petit Verdot. And the reason that in France, actually, they never blended a lot in their Bordeaux, honestly, I believe is that it doesn't yield as much as Merlot or Cabernet Franc. And it doesn't ripen consistently well for them.
That's true.
They pick it always after Cabernet Sauvignon. We actually here in Virginia, we pick Petit Verdot ahead of Cabernet Sauvignon.
Yep. Yeah.
And with a very high consistency of ripening,
And quality.
high sugar content. I read a while back, the origin of the name Petit Verdot. It's quite simple. It's Petit means small. It makes very small berries, and Verdot means green, because it's more related to the fact that a lot of time it doesn't ripen evenly. The clusters, some they stay green. The shut berry, they're berry, they don't develop well, whereas a lot of them turn dark and almost black. Some they stay greenish. So it can contribute some harshness, especially the seeds. The seeds sometimes they don't ripen as well. They're green, they're bitter. Tell people how to grow it.
The key is managing the crop, because because it's a high producer, as you know. I mean, you can have 4 clusters in one little shoot, and then those will never ripe. So when crop control, the amount of clusters per vine, up 10, 12 clusters per vine maximum probably would be, in my opinion, and that gives the vines the capability to ripen what you have left. But if we leave 20, 30 clusters, it's sad to see all those clusters in the ground. But if we don't do the green harvest early on, we fall into that situation that it doesn't ripen the fruit.
Yeah, we would produce more of it. We will produce a more simple wine. We would produce a wine that is a little green, a little astringent. I'm not saying it's a bad wine, but it really is not our goal. Our goal is to produce a beautiful quality. Then then is introduced for blending in our Merlot. In our Octagon, and very importantly, a portion of it goes in Cabernet Franc. But going back to Petit Verdot, one thing that really it's interesting also and fascinating is that it does grow better and produces a better wall of leaves, basically. To ripen so many pounds of grapes, you need so many square inches of foliar surface. And Petit Verdot actually, if it's combined to soil that are more poor soil with less nutrition, it has a stunted growth. In fact, some shoots, they even here in some area with a bit more poor soil, because soil, lack of water, the shoots they go this high and then they stop. Therefore, they're not really producing enough nourishment, and
enough photosynthesis
to really
ripen
ripen the fruit.
Yeah.
And so for us, actually in Virginia, with our soil, with red clay, it actually finds favorable to have a bit more food and to get a bit more growth to sustain the ripening.
Yeah.
And in a dry season, it's one that really suffers the most. And one of the variety we really have to be careful to give some water to give that push.
Yeah.
Something that doesn't happen of Cabernet Sauvignon, doesn't happen as much on Cabernet Franc.
Yeah.
And that's another reason why perhaps in some areas, even in some high drain soil, in some parts of Bordeaux, for example, in a dry season, Cabernet Sauvignon, Franc, and Merlot, they prefer it. But Petit Verdot, again, it's undermined by the condition.
Yeah. It shuts down.
And you have to have irrigation,
Yeah.
which most places don't have
Yeah.
irrigation. So anyway,
Yeah.
it turned out that your experience that you had with Monsieur Bassano, and then having working with us for a founder that was always open to innovation, to
Yes.
new things, to set a new standard.
Yes. And
It just was a great thing.
yeah, because he basically, he has give us you and I the decision making, how to. We suggest to him, and he was always. I love
Right.
he always positive. He always
Right.
absolutely let's try this, let's try that, and that's what Now we are up to 180 acres. This year we will plant another 10 acres, and we.
No, we're not at 180. We will be at 180 with this one. Yeah. We always talk about our founder, Janet Zoning, but actually for the quite many years I've been working very closely with his sons, especially with Domenico and Francesco. And Domenico actually is the one that the most has the most knowledge about when it comes to grape growing and winemaking from his background, which is it's he studied in Bordeaux. At the university, wine university. And just this morning, actually, I was on the phone with him, and we were talking about what we're planting, and he was very excited to hear. Again, he knew about it, but I remind him he has so many things going on with all the wineries in Italy, but very excited about planting Petit Verdot. And actually, Petit Verdot in Italy, but not only in Italy, has been introduced quite large number of acres. A lot of it is in Maremma now. A lot of it is around the region of Lazio. Again, warm pockets, weather pockets here and there. In Australia, in Peru is one of the largest and most notorious producers. Again, they really find those areas where there is that warmth that Petit Verdot likes. And if you learn how to give it water, wherein maybe scarce, it produces a fantastic monovarietal wine. Some people, for many, many years, I recall, they were asking us, when are you going to make a Petit Verdot? When are you going to make a Petit Verdot? From 2002, the first vintage, we used it. Actually, a little portion in Octagon. It's not only until 2008 that we didn't release a varietal Petit Verdot, and not every year we release it because first, what we produce is always considered for its most important role here, which is blending in Octagon and in Cabernet Franc. And the reason why sometimes we don't produce it is because when we do the blending, there is none left. Sometime after we do all the blending, there is a little left. Only at that point we would bottle some Petit Verdot. We never decide ahead of our blending for the year something like, okay, we need to produce 4,000 bottles of Petit Verdot. Let's see what's left to go in the other wine. It's exactly the opposite. Otherwise, how can we say that Octagon is the most beautiful expression of a red wine we produce on the estate in that vintage? to say that, we have to use the best there is to produce such wine.
And that's always the objective, when it comes to Octagon, always from the pruning to all the way to harvest. And that's why I'm glad that we're planting some more, because it's something that we needed.
The reason why we plant more is right there.
Yeah.
One of them. 12 acre of Cabernet Franc.
Yep.
We blend it sometimes as much as 10, 12%.
Yeah.
It requires at least another acre plus
Yeah.
of Petit Verdot. And then we plant it.
And as you can see over here on this vineyard, I like the idea that you had, dividing the whole vineyard in sections, where, you can see the break between that one and that one, where it will give us the opportunity to understand the microclimate in each little hill, that you can say, I like that one for Octagon, I like this for Cabernet Franc Reserve, I like that one for that. And it will give you the choices that we can take each single section and ferment them in different tanks, for example.
Absolutely.
And understand better the microclimate that is producing these beautiful Cabernet Francs.
And like with Petit Verdot, we have 3 vineyards now. We're gonna have 5 as of next year.
Yeah.
And even the 3 we have now, there is not always one that is the best.
Yeah, they're all different.
There is an alternation in between vintages related to the weather conditions. So that means that all 3 parcels have great potential.
Absolutely.
But they alternate their role as the most important for that vintage.
Yeah. It's remarkable the difference between them.
We could talk for hours about Petit Verdot, but probably you don't want to hear us talk for hours. I just chose this morning
It's
to
beautiful
talk about
too.
this because what triggered it was that Friday evening we had a great dinner at Palladio restaurant Friday night, and we served Petit Verdot 2018.
That was
which actually
that
was a very
beautiful.
difficult growing season. Yet Petit Verdot did very well here, and one vineyard in particular produced a very high quality Petit Verdot. And so it's at that dinner actually that really I realized how fortunate we have been that day I hire you, and then another day, not much after that, in conversation we decide to plant it. It really introduced another great element to give even more complexity and beauty to this whole estate. And so this morning, Fernando, I want to say thank you again.
Sure, cheers.
We're going to do it again this vintage, right? 2022.
That's the objective.
See you next week.
See you.